For years, the name Jeffrey Epstein has been linked to power, wealth, secrecy, and so many unanswered questions. But what exactly are the Epstein Files, and what do they actually contain? As documents continue to be unsealed, the internet is flooded with rumors, lists, and speculation. It's become incredibly difficult to separate fact from fiction. In this video, we're going to do just that. We'll break down the confirmed facts, the official documents, and the timelines, focusing only on what has been verified without getting lost in the noise. So, let's start with the basics. Who was Jeffrey Epstein? He was a financier who built a massive fortune and surrounded himself with some of the most wealthy and influential individuals on the planet. He wasn't a politician or a public official, but he moved within elite social, political, and even scientific circles. He owned several extravagant properties that became central to the story, including a massive townhouse in Manhattan and a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands known as Little St. James. His name first came under serious legal scrutiny in the early 2000s when he was investigated in Florida for sex crimes involving minors. This early investigation set the stage for a saga that would span nearly 2 decades. The key thing to remember about Epstein is that his power came not from an official title, but from his connections, his wealth, and the secrecy that surrounded his activities. His network was vast, and understanding this is crucial to understanding the entire case. Now, let's talk about a major turning point, the 2008 plea deal. After that initial investigation in Florida, Epstein entered into what would become an extremely controversial plea deal. Instead of facing federal charges, he pleaded guilty to state-level charges. He ended up serving just 13 months in jail, and for much of that time he was granted work release privileges, allowing him to leave the jail for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. This deal was later widely criticized by legal experts and the public for being unusually lenient, especially given the severity of the allegations. What made it even more contentious was the fact that many of his victims were not informed about this deal at the time it was made. They were denied their right to be heard in court, a failure of the justice system that would become a central theme in the years to come. This 2008 deal essentially allowed Epstein to avoid a federal trial and much more serious consequences, at least for a while. But the story didn't end there. A decade later, things changed dramatically. In July 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was rearrested, this time on federal charges of sex trafficking minors in New York and Florida. The new indictment brought the case roaring back into the public consciousness, and this time it gained massive international attention. The media landscape had changed. The #MeToo movement had empowered victims to speak out, and there was intense pressure to ensure justice was served. Epstein pleaded not guilty to these new federal charges and was held in a Manhattan jail while he awaited trial. The world was watching, expecting a high-profile trial that would finally uncover the full extent of his alleged crimes and his network. And then, the most shocking twist of all. In August 2019, just over a month after his arrest, Jeffrey Epstein died in his jail cell. The New York City Medical Examiner officially ruled his death a suicide. However, this ruling was met with widespread public skepticism and fueled countless theories. Several factors contributed to this doubt. There were reports of malfunctioning cameras outside his cell. 2 guards on duty had apparently fallen asleep and later falsified records. And Epstein had been taken off suicide watch shortly before his death, despite a previous incident. While official investigations confirmed the cause of death as suicide, they also cited major failures in jail protocol and negligence by the staff, leaving a cloud of unanswered questions that still hangs over the case today. His death meant that a public trial would never happen. So, with Epstein gone, what are the Epstein Files that everyone is talking about? This is where a lot of confusion comes from. The term Epstein Files doesn't refer to some secret stash of documents leaked by a whistleblower. Instead, it is a catch-all name for a collection of official court documents that have been gradually unsealed over the years. These documents primarily come from a 2015 civil lawsuit filed by one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre, against his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. The files include depositions, witness testimonies, motions, and other records from that legal proceeding. Also included are the infamous flight logs from Epstein's private jets. Let's look closer at those flight logs. Epstein owned a private jet, which was infamously nicknamed the Lolita Express in some media reports. Over the years, logs listing the passengers on these flights have been made public through court proceedings. These logs show the names of many prominent individuals who flew on his plane. However, it is absolutely critical to clarify this point. Appearing on a flight log does not mean that person was involved in any criminal wrongdoing. The lists include business contacts, politicians, celebrities, associates, and even staff members. The logs show association, not guilt. They are a piece of the puzzle, but they don't tell the whole story on their own. This brings us to the recent document Unsealing, which started in early 2024 and is expected to continue. A judge ordered the release of hundreds of previously sealed documents from that same 2015 civil lawsuit. These documents contain names of people connected to Epstein in various ways. Some are named as potential witnesses, some are mentioned in passing in depositions, and others are alleged to be participants in his crimes. This is where things get very tricky. Just because someone's name appears in these documents does not mean they have been charged or are even suspected of a crime. It simply means their name came up during the legal proceedings. And that's why we need a serious warning about misinformation. As these documents are released, social media has been flooded with posts that mix facts with pure speculation. Many lists of names are being circulated without any context, leading people to believe that everyone mentioned is guilty. This is incredibly dangerous. The courts themselves have stressed that allegations are not proof, and being mentioned in a document does not equal guilt. It's our responsibility as consumers of information to look for the source, understand the context, and separate verified facts from baseless rumors. So, with all the legal complexities, the unanswered questions, and the rampant misinformation, why does this case still matter so much? Because the Epstein saga is about more than just one man. It exposed deep and disturbing failures within our justice system, where wealth and power seemingly allowed an individual to evade accountability for years. It highlighted the incredible power imbalances that can exist between perpetrators and victims. And it underscored the vital importance of victim advocacy and the courage it takes for survivors to come forward. The ongoing release of the Epstein Files is not just about revealing names. It's a reminder that truth requires evidence, accountability requires due process, and a just society must always prioritize protecting the vulnerable without ever abandoning the facts. Thank you for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into complex topics. Stay informed and stay critical.